It's Kamilah Rose with the Bliss Institute, and I know it has been a really long time. You can see the evidence of my life with these blinds. My cat literally broke the window about 2 weeks ago. He's very special, so that's just kind of what's going on. Quick updates. I don't really have any. I've been chilling. I've been hanging out and resting and taking care of myself and doing all of that fun stuff, and it's been fantastic. We missed the reading for the, what was it? Full moon, new moon in Sagittarius. Missed that reading, but I plan on doing some follow-ups for some readings for every sign individually, so not all together, for winter solstice. So that should be fun because I love winter solstice. It's my favorite time of the year. And I thought it'd be nice since we're getting to the end of this year and getting to the new decade, that it'll be great to kind of start off with something different. So, but today we're going to talk about movie reviews, my favorite, because I've seen a lot of movies. I've been watching a lot of different things lately, but just haven't done any reviews on them because I haven't felt like it. But I was like, let me go ahead, let me get back to it, let me start some good habits for the new year early. And we're going to talk about Paradise Hills, which was, I felt like it was a random movie that I found on Amazon that I had seen the previews for a little bit, but I hadn't heard a lot of talk about it. I hadn't heard too many people say anything about it. But it looked beautiful. I love movies that kind of have the scenery and are built this way. Gorgeous, just very in-depth, very rich scenes and design and costumes and just like everything. So I was very excited to watch this film. I don't believe that it came out in any theaters near me. I live in the DFW area, but it was on Amazon. So I was like, oh, let me check it out. Let me go see this. So this is starring Mila Jovovich. She played the Duchess. It has Emma Roberts as the main character, and I believe her name is supposed to be Uma. Okay. Aquafina, Aquafina is everything. I love her in every film that she's in. She's such a character. She's so entertaining. She's such a good actress. I just really adore her and love her. And she was great in this film as well. She plays you. We have Daniel McDonald as Chloe, and we have Eliza, I think it is, Gonzalez as Armana, who I wrote a note that said that she was annoying. So I'm guessing I know which one this one is, because there was one of them I was just like, girl, what is your problem? So we open up and we are in this beautiful ballroom scene. It's a wedding. It's Uma. That's, Emma Roberts' character. She's dancing in this very kind of intricate ballroom dance, and it kind of reminded me of, is it the Capitol on the Hunger Games, and how everybody was just like, the fashion was over the top and extravagant. It was very much like that. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. She looked a mess. I'll admit she looked a mess. I didn't like the way they done her makeup, but I understood it was supposed to be very dramatic, and so they achieved that. And then so you learn, she's getting married to this guy. There's obviously something going on there where she didn't want to marry him, obviously. But her family wanted him to. Everyone was talking about how lucky she was and how good of a wife she's going to be, and how she needed to please her husband because he was going to be taking care of her and paying all of her things for her. So obviously he had money. Obviously she needed to marry into that money. It seemed like, though, that her parents seemed to be doing okay. I thought it was her parents, at least her mother, obviously. So I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something, that they need to maintain their position in society. So she needs to marry this man. And then, so we go up, and then we see her, and he's laying her down on the bed, and he's like, you're so much different than you were before. I like you so much more now. You're so much more basically compliant. And then we switch over, and we are now in the Paradise Hills place. We're in this paradise place. I mean, this place is gorgeous. I understand that it's kind of really creepy. They've stolen you in the night. They're forcing you to kind of conform and to change who you are completely. But if there was a real resort that was like that, where you could actually choose whether you want to be there or not, I would totally be there. That place was freaking amazing. It was gorgeous. It was like something off of an Instagram pop-up, just beautiful. And so she doesn't want to be there, obviously, because they stole her in the night. They forced her to come there. They, kept her inside of that room, and she just has no idea what's going on. She can't leave. She has no control over anything. The feel of this movie reminded me of A Cure for Wellness. It reminded me of Melancholia. That's the film with Kirsten Dunst. It gave me the Alice in Wonderland feel, the Crimson Peak? Yes, Crimson Peak. So just very elaborate, very dramatic, very kind of Gothic Victorian. I loved everything about it. I loved the way the lighting, the scenery, I loved everything. So then she's waking up there. There's birds. The decor is lavish. It's beautiful. And they're trying to get her to accept this marriage proposal. They're trying to get her to kind of fall in line. So she's meeting with the Duchess, Mila Jovovich, and the Duchess is like, wanting to talk to her about, why don't you want to marry him? And this is a really good prospect for you, and this will be really great. And so we kind of get into this whole dialogue of like making choices based on long-term goals or wanting to secure our place in society as opposed to love and all of that fun stuff, which is, marrying for love is a very new concept. It's not something that people have done traditionally. People married for power, land, money, status, all those fun things. Kids, if, someone was married to someone else before and they couldn't have kids, they might get rid of that one and find another one to try to have kids to continue their lineage. So they're trying to convince her, this is what you should be doing. You should be trying to get married. This is a really good match for you. But, she's not here for it. Uma's not here for it. And we have Chloe, who is again played by Danielle McDonald, who is amazing. Like, these actresses that were in this film were just so good. And she's there because her parents want her to lose weight. They want her to be this kind of Southern debutante and to have the appearance of that type of person. And she was just, she's a super fun character because she's completely and totally unbothered. She is like, yeah, they sent me here, but this is just, I'm just going to take this as a vacation. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to live it up. I'm going to have fun because I am who I am. There's really not much else going on here. And then we have Awkwafina, and she is there. We find out much later because, and her first scene is so good. She has on these like kind of punk rock out earphones on, and they've got the spikes on them and everything, and she's listening to her music, and she's like, don't touch my stuff. And I'm just like, that's so Awkwafina. Like, it was so good. I was like, what a great way to introduce her. But we find out later on she's there because her parents, they have different classes, and her class was from one of the lower classes, and her parents wanted her to have a better chance at life, so they sent her to live with one of her kind of upper level aunt and uncle. And she has this crippling anxiety, though, where like she just completely shuts down. She'll hyperventilate. She'll have an anxiety attack. And so she was unable to really fall in line with what they wanted from her. So they sent her there, and they were basically like, fix yourself and get over this anxiety that you have, or else you're not coming back. And so she was like, so I'm here trying to work on it. But she just was kind of like, this is just where I am. And everybody's kind of seemed to be like, okay, we're here. We don't really have a choice. This is what we're going to do. So they go through this kind of beautifying process. It reminded me of America's Next Top Model. They're all at their little vanities, and they're picking through the looks, and they're getting their hair done. And, Uma's not here for it. She doesn't want to do it. The annoying girl, Armana, I think is her name. At the beginning, Uma ran away. She tries to get off the island. She goes to the cave. Armana chick is there. She's like, just be quiet. Then she turns her in, and she's like, well, we can't have them find our hiding place. And I'm just like, okay, girl. But anyway, she's there, and she's like, it won't be that bad. So they go through these counseling exercises, which I thought was interesting. And one of them, they have to sit in front of the Duchess, and they have to kind of talk about their relationship with their parents and with their mother specifically. There's another one where there's a carousel, and there's like this tape playing from the boy she's supposed to be marrying. And it was disturbing because it seems as if they were really trying to brainwash her. I thought they were just literally going to brainwash her, but it did come across in that beginning that they really were just trying to convince her to change her mind. And so she's stuck on this carousel. They're playing this video by this guy who is just so ugh. And he's just like, people say that I'm not a good man, but I am a good man. And then he's like standing there playing golf. And then he's like donating to the poor. And he's like, I give back. I'm adventurous. And I was just like, this is terrible. I was like, is this the, the parody or the commentary on what we think sells as like an attractive partner? Awful. And so she's sitting there, she's rolling her eyes like all the rest of us. And they leave her up there. She has to watch it over and over again on this freaking carousel. I was like, this is a nightmare. So then she's like digging into her palms to like distract her from what's going on. And she's throwing a fit. And the Duchess finds her and she's like, let me help you. She's with those flowers. And she's like, I take care of Mother's garden. This is why you need to be grateful for what opportunities you have and take advantage of them and marry this man. You don't want to be like me. She has this moment. And I was like, girl, it sounds like you need some of this counseling you keep trying to give everybody else. And so they're going through kind of we hear this tragic love story. She takes care of Mother's garden. Uma hears cries and things in the hall. She's just hearing things when she's wandering around places when they're doing their exercise classes. And it's kind of like, okay, what is that? And then we also hear there's this thing where it's very clear. They go and they have dinner every night, and then it's very small meals. And they're like, oh, these have been specifically made to fit your dietary needs. And so it's like a grape and another, berry, and they have to drink their milk. So they're having a really hard time staying up at night. We find out that the milk is something that's like a sleep inducer. And so Armana starts telling her, like, don't drink your milk so you can stay up and then you can find out what's going on. The girls find out some horrifying truths about what's happening to them when they're going to sleep, what's overall going on in this situation, why they're there, how they plan to actually change their minds and to reset their personalities. And I was not expecting the twist. Like, it really was giving me Cure for Wellness. So I was thinking literally, yeah, they're just going to brainwash them, or maybe even there was a movie, I can't remember which one it was. I feel like it was a movie though, where they were removing parts of their brains to make them more compliant and to make them, behave the way that they wanted to. And they would just kind of tweak their brains until they performed in the way they wanted. So I was thinking it was going to go that route. It didn't. It went an okay route. And I'll talk about that in a second. But overall, I liked the film. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed the scenery. The storyline was okay. The acting was all right. I feel like the best star, I feel like they all did really well, except for the Armana chick. She was so annoying. I just didn't really see, I don't know if it was supposed to be one of those like pent up frustration things. So because she was unable to be her true self, she was supposed to be like stunted as a person who was acting there. But I was just like, this is annoying. She was really just getting on my nerves. We do have a point where Uma does not want to get married because she has a boyfriend back home who no one likes because he is not one of the upper class folks, and he ends up showing up. And so they're having their whole little thing, and it throws a wrench into Armana's plans. And I was just kind of like, girl, you are like a cock blocker. Like, you're just a hater. You go on this whole thing about wanting people to be happy, but then when it's coming along, like, you're upset about it. And I was just like, lame. I'm not into it. I don't like it. She got on my nerves. I did feel like there was maybe going to be something with Chloe's character where maybe she would turn on them, but that didn't happen, which made me really happy. I love the fact that it is very like juvenile, I suppose you could say, but there really was that whole like, we have been thrown into the situation and we are going to all stick together. And I love that. No one turned on each other. No one was backstabbing. No one was like, this group of girls, they stuck together to see this out. And I thought that was really nice because we don't always see that so much in stories these days. There's usually like a jealous one or someone who's kind of like, there's the mean girls trend, and that didn't happen, and that made me really, really happy. I like the way that they built each other up even though they're in this awful situation and worked together, so I was happy with that. Now let's get into spoilers. So obviously the Armana girl is a lesbian and she had feelings for Uma and she like wanted them to be together, so that's why she was upset when Uma's boyfriend showed up. That's why she had her raggedy attitude. And then she ends up getting like her final transformation. They're like, oh, you're ready to go, because they caught her trying to escape. And so they take her to whatever is going on in like the behind the scenes place. And we don't see her anymore. And then when we do see her later on, she's on screen. She's getting married to a man. She's very happy to be in this relationship. Like she's totally conformed. And Uma shook because she's like, this is not natural. This is not like how this is supposed to be. This is not my friend. And so then we find out what's been going on at night when they've drugged them and taken them to sleep. So they are taking them down to the surgery room, and I thought they were just gonna do, like I said, they were just gonna like change their minds. No, they've been cataloging, like that's the whole like makeup thing, that's the whole makeover thing. They've been observing their actions, their behaviors, and they've been keeping all these things on file because y'all, they're not cloning them. I was also like, oh, they're gonna clone them and they're just gonna send the clones home. Cool. No, they are offering to other girls who are in the lower class who don't have an opportunity to improve their lives, and they are inviting them in, and they're finding ones who are of similar, builds and things to these girls, and then they are giving them plastic surgery to look like the girls who are there for the program, for the treatment, and they are making them look like them and learn how to speak like them and to act like them and everything. And then they are just replacing the asses. They are killing the real girls, and they're sending in the fake girls that they've hired from the lower class to go in and take their spot. Shook. I was like, oh my gosh, because that was like the screaming and the wailing that you would hear because they had them down there in the bottom part in recovery from their surgery. So they'd be like soaking in the pools and stuff and everything all bandaged up, looking all crazy. So you go through this point where they're escaping. All the girls are trying to escape because they're like, we got to get out of here. And so Aquafina has an anxiety attack. She's freaking out because she didn't take the drink. They're taking her down to do the surgery. She can't get, they're going to want to put her under, but she's like awake. So if they put her under and things, it's going to actually, she'll feel everything. So she's freaking out. They have to go in and save her. They try to do so. It turns into a disaster. They're trying to run away. Aquafina's having her anxiety attack. They're wandering through the tunnel systems. They go and they find the files where they've just been cataloging how they look, their personality, what their desires are, their memories, everything. Where she also finds out, Uma finds out that her boyfriend has been working with these people and was all a setup from the beginning. So she's all angry about that. And then that's when they run into the girls in like the recovery space with like the pools and things, and then they have their little confrontation about being replaced and everything, because you see like the girls who, there's one that looks just like Aquafina, but of course she doesn't have the anxiety. You see a thinner version of Chloe. You see the exact version of Uma, who will be completely submissive and will just kind of go with the flow more so than what she did. Then we wander into this garden, and the whole tie between the flowers and Mother's Garden comes in because you find that like the plants, this part was a little strange, but the plants are like sentient, and that the Duchess has some type of like maybe magical powers or supernatural powers or something going on, where she is literally like taking care of the garden, and that the girls turn into these flowers. And so all these flowers that we've been seeing everywhere, gardens are gorgeous. Roses that she's been clipping the thorns off of are the literal girls who have been all been replaced. So we lose Aquafina. She doesn't make it. She dies from her anxiety attack and hyperventilating. And then we have Chloe, who's doing very well, and she ends up getting taken out by these flowers. And then we have Uma, who actually is about to get taken out as well. But her clone twin, whatever she ends up being, her replacement comes along, and they end up tricking the Duchess. They kill the Duchess. They run off. And then, so we flash forward to that scene from the beginning where she's getting married, and then we have her obviously take the husband out. He's dead, and then he was killed by the real Uma. And so then replacement Uma comes in and sees it happening, and she sees real Uma downstairs running away and like going to live her own life. Like, although she will have to deal with the difficulties of being out there in the world on her own, it will be better than her having to give up her freedom and be married to this dude. And her replacement will get to be able to kind of live a better life and be able to have her brother. So that was why she went in the first place, so that her brother be taken care of. She'll have the money and all these things. So it's kind of like a win-win situation, except for oh boy. I know it was definitely some commentary about expectations of women in society and double standards and control and all of those things. I feel like it was a little confusing with the part with the mother, with the Duchess, and like what was going on with the plants. I still didn't quite get that because it didn't seem like anybody else had supernatural powers, but somehow this chick was like connected to these plants. It was just really strange. It was not explained very clearly. I thought it was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, but there's definitely needed to be a little bit more character development and design. It also needed to have a bit more kind of just fleshing out of the story, some further background and details. Like it wasn't a little bit enough where it was like, oh, okay, no, I can just kind of figure out what's going on. It was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. So anyways, that was Paradise Hills. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I would definitely watch it again. It was just such a pretty film. And now we're going to talk about Perfect. So I saw Perfect again on Amazon. I was like, hey, this looks neat. It had some really great reviews from the film festival circuit. And I was like, oh, cool. This sounds really great. I'm really ready to check it out. So I really liked the film Mother. I thought it was fantastic. I loved the discussion that it brought up, at least for me. I loved the way that they created the characters. I loved the way they played it out. I just loved everything about that. That was great. So I'm not opposed to films that are very artistic, that are a bit more abstract, that are much more of, I guess you could say maybe avant-garde. It's very artistic, very theatrical. It's not, laid out for you. It's not a blockbuster film. It's not a, summer thriller or anything like that. It's a deeper film with a lot of intense, deeper meaning, right? I'm not opposed to that whatsoever. But this film, I don't know. Like at times it was really good. At times I was like, oh, okay, I can get down with this. I understand where they're going with this. I understand what they're trying to say. Because we started off with the young fella, and the young fella has killed this girl that he just had sex with. And I was like, oh, okay. But, he's got some money. His mother is beautiful. They're like, it's okay. We can fix this. We're just going to send you off to this rehabilitation place and they'll fix you. So, we have a common theme here in these films that we're seeing. And he's all like kind of a sociopath, it seems a little bit. Like he has some issues controlling his urges and things and like communicating and connecting with other people. And so he's in the car with his mom, gorgeous. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I took any notes on this film or not. She's an actress I really like, so I wish I could remember her name. But I like her a lot. Gorgeous girl. And she's just like, you have the key I gave you. I think it's a key. He's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, everything's gonna be okay, right? And she's like, yes, just remember what you're here for and all this other stuff. So he gets to the place. It's kind of in this deserted tropical place, kind of like on Paradise Hill. He goes in, he has this room. It's really nice. It reminds me of a very modern, maybe kind of Korean spa with the baths and everything. And then you have your separate room to sleep in. And they have these TVs. And it's kind of got a whole kind of little, I don't want to call it like an orgy, but like I guess maybe a recreational space. But like everyone's running around and they don't necessarily all have clothes. And some people are hooking up, some people are not. And there's a DJ. And so it's just very like weird. Honestly, that's the only word to describe it. So he goes to this thing where they're like, we're going to make you perfect. So we're going to take the parts of you that are broken and we're going to replace them with new parts. So like with the first one, he gets his little first package. It arrives. He opens it. And the first thing they're like, okay, so you're going to follow the directions and then you'll be done. So the directions are like, you take this razor, you cut this part on your face, you pull out this part of your face, it comes out in like a cube, and then you're going to take this new part and you're going to inject it in there and that's going to replace it. And they start like literally like redesigning him, and we see him throughout the film replacing different parts of himself. And with each one, like it's kind of like his hits a different level of transcendence. He ascends a little bit more with each replacement. And as he does so, he begins to behave a bit differently. And there's a little bit of like a Adam and Eve feel, especially as when he first tried in the beginning of the film to hook up with the one girl. And I believe they actually ended up having sex. I don't think he killed her before they actually ended up having sex. I think it was while they were having sex that he kills her. Oh, sorry about that. But so that one kind of reminded me of Lilith, right? Because Lilith was Adam's first wife. She didn't want to lie under him. She didn't want to have to necessarily submit to him. And so she then chose to become a demon as opposed to doing that. And in this case, well, he kind of got rid of her and she was demonized again. In the case of this film, so we've run across what kind of feels a little bit more like an Eve character here. And so she either, they're kind of hooking up, they're connecting. She's very pretty. She's asking him questions. She's like telling him about, how what they're doing is very important. And, she's just a little deeper. But I suppose they're on different parts of their journey. And so he's wanting to be with her and she's just like, oh no, this isn't going to work. And I think it kind of gets into that whole, as we're all like getting to this point where things that were not attainable physically before, as far as meeting perfection, are becoming more and more attainable through surgery and through being able to kind of, excuse the cat, but through surgery and being able to change our appearance, change our behaviors, change everything about us, using filters, using editing, so that we can be who we want to be, even if that's not who we really are. We can just make it who we are. And that's kind of what he's going through, this reprogramming this entire time to fit this aesthetic and this belief. So there's that. And I was like, that's cool. I think that's really neat. I think it's really important. It's an important message. And then things start to get a little strange because we start having some flashbacks about like this old school tribe and how, I'm guessing it's the Aztecs, because they're performing human sacrifice. But they're sacrificing some of the girl he hooks up with at the facility. She's going there for the sacrifice. They're going to put her, she dies. They're sacrificing her to the new god who looks like the guy, kind of. And so he starts having these flashbacks. He starts connecting to this energy. We run into kind of, I guess, like the manager, the owner of this place, and he has enough female associate, and she's been the voice that's been talking to the young fella. And she's telling him kind of about like how things are going and if he's having a difficult time or if he's doing well. And the manager guy is like, I think he could really make it. I think he could ascend. I think he could get where we really want him to go. And the female associate is not. She's a little apprehensive. She's like, it's going too fast. I don't know about this. And the administrator guy is like, do it. Let's go. Let's do this. This is our chance to like make this happen. And so they keep pushing him to continue to do these replacements, to continue to ascend, to continue to go further into all of this. And so he does. And then there's just like this weird moment where the administrator, so everybody's gone. I don't know what happens to them. I don't know if he kills them. I don't know if they just get destroyed. I don't know. It just turns into this whole, it made me think of, okay, this is one of those ascension films where you get connected to the collective, and from there you begin to really see kind of how everything works and how the past is connected to the future, and he becomes kind of like this new age god figure, and he is trying to really become this perfect self, and in doing so he is losing his connection to this physical world, and therefore his physical self is kind of dissolving and transforming into something that is not what we would call perfect, but that is from our limited scope of reality. So the manager guy comes down, and then his mom, young fellow's mom, was there before, and it turns out that this manager guy is his dad, and he has some connection to this spirit that is there, and he has been trying to bring a vessel so that this spirit from back then could become a part of this vessel and experience this perfection in human form. And he was trying to do this through this young fella, and it was kind of working. He turned into this blob. It was a mess. Something happened to the girl that was there, the female associate that was there. I'm not entirely too sure. And then the blob, like you get this whole like soliloquy, and it's just a blob, and that's pretty much the end. I was like, okay, well, this is neat. I probably need to watch it again. I think it was just one of those things where it was too abstract for me. I wanted a little bit more exposition probably about what's supposed to be happening and what's the point in this. Like I understood that everyone was chasing perfection, and in chasing perfection you lose yourself. And then you become a part of this like zeitgeist about beauty in whatever certain age you're growing and developing in, and how you have to kind of decide to make your own decisions, or you can be completely and totally reprogrammed by society and what everyone's telling you, and that will be your truth, and then you'll just become a shapeless blob to be formed by whatever standards exist outside of you. Like I got that, but I just didn't understand why they had to have all this kind of randomness in it. Like it was gorgeous, it was beautiful, very in-depth scenes, very engaging. I just was just like, I don't know. I wasn't as impressed as I think I would have liked to have been. I thought it was beautiful, but I was just kind of like, because I'm always interested in finding stories that tell a complicated, reflection on the divine masculine. I think that's very much a story that deserves to be told. And it's interesting that we saw a version of the divine feminine played out in Paradise Hills, and then we had one played out of the divine masculine played out in Perfection, but how what time is given to really the masculine story. And I know. So like most things are told through a male gaze, and through a male lens. But I don't know, like it seems like when it comes to spiritual films and things like that, like there's really been an explosion of ones that are focusing on the divine feminine or their, process, their journey, but not as many, I feel at least, they get the same attention and the same I don't know, work and time as for the masculine. And for me, I'm just kind of like, I'd like to see more of that, because I think it gives us a balance to our understanding of how we function in the world. So anyways, now you see kitties, the cat's behind, that's how he feels about it too. So yeah, that was Perfection or Perfect. And that was Paradise Hills. Paradise Hills, I definitely recommend. Perfection, I definitely recommend if you're wanting to kind of have some time to kind of space out and be like, whoa, wow, that's cool. Very pretty, very gorgeous, make you think. I think that they're great films for that. Definitely stream them. Definitely try to catch a sale on them. Definitely give yourself some time. Paradise Hills is a bit more something that you can do other things while you're watching and still be able to understand what's happening. Perfection is not. You need to be able to actually pay attention to this film and watch it. And that's going to be it. So I do have some things coming up. Let's see. Tomorrow I will be probably doing some more film reviews. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of things lately. I've seen Frozen 2. I'm trying to even think of what I've been watching. I have it written down. I'll probably talk a little bit about Frozen 2. I was not excited about it, so I'm not looking forward to talking about the film. But I also have some readings coming up, like I said, for the winter solstice, for all the signs. And then I have some things I want to talk about for shadow work, because winter solstice is coming, shadow work season. I also have a retreat that I'm co-hosting with a dear friend of mine, and it is a women's soul retreat for solstice, and we're going to be doing some healing work and shadow work and everything. It's going to be great. I have that information linked in I'll probably try to link it down below, but linked on the Facebook page, linked on Instagram, all that fun stuff. It's a weekend trip in North Texas, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's about it. So if there's any films you're going to see, any films you want reviews of, just let me know. And I'll see you later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.